someone standing too still. The camper was deep in the woods with two friends, sitting around a small fire late at night. The area was quiet, but not unusually so. Crickets chirping, the fire popping, wind brushing through the trees. Then he noticed something beyond the edge of the firelight. At first, it looked like a person. The shape was tall and human-like, standing just far enough away that the light didn't fully reach it. He assumed it was another camper who had wandered too close to their sight. But something felt wrong. The figure wasn't moving, not shifting its weight, not adjusting its stance, not reacting to the fire or the sound of their voices. It stood perfectly still, like it had been placed there. He quietly pointed it out to his friends. All conversation stopped. One of them grabbed a flashlight and slowly aimed it toward the figure. The beam hit its outline, but instead of reflecting off clothing or skin, the light seemed to fade, like it was being absorbed. There were no visible eyes, no face, just a dark shape with the rough outline of a human body. The moment the flashlight clicked off, the figure was gone. No footsteps, no sound of leaves, nothing breaking the silence. They stayed frozen for several seconds before quickly putting out the fire and retreating into their tents. None of them slept. Throughout the night, they could hear faint movement just beyond the campsite, always staying out of sight. At sunrise, they packed up without talking about it and left. The camper later wrote that what terrified him most wasn't seeing the figure. It was how unnatural it felt. Not like an animal, not like a person, just something that looked human and knew where to stand. Someone was mimicking us in the woods. This happened during a weekend camping trip in a remote forest area where campsites were spread far apart. The poster was camping with a small group of friends, and by nightfall, the area around them felt unusually empty. No nearby campers, no lights, no noise except the fire. Later that night, while they were sitting around the campfire, one of them laughed. A few seconds later, the same laugh echoed back from deep in the trees. At first, they thought it was just sound traveling through the forest. But then someone spoke, and again, the same words came back. Same tone, same timing, only distorted. The voice came from a direction where no campsite should have been. They went silent, listening. Then it happened again, this time copying a cough. Then a short sentence. Each time, the sound came from a different spot in the darkness, as if whatever was doing it was slowly moving. No footsteps, no flashlight, no rustling leaves, just the voice. They tried to convince themselves it was another camper joking around, but it didn't make sense. No one had walked through their sight, and whoever it was never spoke first. It only repeated what they said. The group put out the fire early and locked themselves inside their tents. For the rest of the night, they heard occasional movement around the campsite, always just out of sight. By morning, There were footprints near the edge of the clearing, but none close enough to explain the voices. They packed up immediately and left. To this day, the poster says the most disturbing part wasn't the fear. It was the realization that whatever was out there understood them well enough to imitate them. The woods that ate the trail. We were part of a Boy Scout camping trip, deep in the forest, far from any road or town. It was late afternoon when our scout leader asked 3 of us to head into the woods and bring back a long, sturdy stick for the campfire. It sounded simple. We stepped off the main trail, laughing and talking as we walked. The forest felt normal sunlight filtering through the trees, birds calling in the distance, dry leaves crunching under our boots. We didn't go far, maybe a few minutes at most. We found a perfect stick, snapped it loose, and turned around to head back. That's when things changed. The path we had just used wasn't there anymore. Where the trail should have been, there was only a wall of trees and brush. No footprints, no broken branches, just endless trunks and shadows that all looked the same. At first, we laughed it off, thinking we were just looking in the wrong spot. So we walked a little farther and farther. The forest began to feel wrong, too quiet. The birds were gone. The wind stopped. Even the light felt different, dimmer, as if the trees had closed in around us. Every direction looked identical, like the woods had rearranged themselves while our backs were turned. Panic slowly crept in. We tried to retrace our steps, but nothing matched our memory. No landmarks, no trail, just trees over and over again. One of us started shouting for the scout leader, but our voices sounded weak, swallowed by the forest. It felt like we had been walking in circles, even though we were certain we were. After what felt like much longer than it probably was, one of us spotted something familiar, a broken branch, a scuffed patch of dirt. We followed it, desperately, and suddenly the trail appeared again, exactly where it should have been. We rushed back to camp without saying a word. We never told the leaders what happened. But that moment stayed with us, because to this day, none of us can explain how a trail could simply vanish and then reappear, as if the forest itself had decided to let us go.